Thank you, Deidrey. So, friends, if it's comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze and bring your full attention to that place in consciousness where you are united with all people, all things, all of creation, where you know your oneness with divine mind. And as we bring our attention and our awareness to this place, we can detach from this manifest experience here on Playground Planet Earth and bring our awareness to our spiritual life. Spiritual living is the path to freedom. And so we bring our full attention and awareness to that place in consciousness where divine mind, where absolute good and unconditional love is showing up with wisdom and understanding, with the very, very real creative energy of love. We bring our full attention to consciousness. We are reminded of the words of Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, life is consciousness. And with a consciousness that is rooted in wisdom and understanding and love, from this spiritual place, we know that indeed that spiritual living is our path to freedom. Spiritual living is my path to freedom. So for just a moment, let's pause and invite our minds to still from the distractions and the chatter and the clutter within our mortal mind, and bring our awareness to the stillness of spirit. The silence that is peace in consciousness. Let's pause here for a moment and know our oneness. Spiritual living is my path to freedom. Say that with me now. Spiritual living is my path to freedom. Amidst the everyday distractions and the pull of our attention into the appearances of the world, we can pause. And with a breath, we can return to this place in consciousness. We can direct our attention away from the appearance and towards the truth, the spiritual truth within. And we can live from this place of wisdom and understanding and love. And use that truth to direct our will and our zeal and our power. We can use it to renunciate that which is not true. Spiritual living is my path to freedom. Spiritual living is my path to freedom. Let's affirm that together one more time. Spiritual living is my path to freedom. And so now, as you bring your attention and intention back into this manifest place, where in spirit we are gathered as one, knowing that we are one with the one. Bring with you the truth of peace in consciousness. Bring forth the knowledge that you are a presence of love. And as we have spoken, so it is, and so we let it be.
Let us sing Freedom, O Freedom, Forever Free. Freedom, oh freedom, forever free. Again, freedom, oh freedom, forever free. Freedom, oh freedom. Forever free. And of course, as we prepare to receive Rev Todd's message, this is a beautiful song by Sasha Butterfly, and it's a fun song to sing, so I really hope that you will sing along with me. Freedom, 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 freedom. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You've got to let it go. You've got to let it go. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You've got to let it go. You've got to let it go. Freedom, oh freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Freedom, oh freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Freedom, oh freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Freedom comes from not hanging on. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Freedom, oh freedom, freedom, oh
Thank you, Deidrey.
Probably the same music to match the message, you know.
Hey, Norma. Ah, I appreciate Norma doing that, so I didn't feel so bad about talking while Peggy was praying. Let's keep ourselves muted online, or I'll lose my track of thought. Whew. Back when COVID started, I received a phone call from my friend Darby. Uh, Darby, now from my One Spirit seminary. So, Darby now serves as the Associate Minister of Unity of Broward, which is in Pompano Beach, Florida. But Darby reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm a part of this group that meets once a month, and now we can't meet, and we're wondering if there's a way for us to meet on Zoom." So since then, every time they want to have a meeting online, I've been going in on Zoom and doing all the background stuff. And once when somebody dropped out at the last minute and wasn't able to present, I presented on that person's topic because it was based on a play. And so, y'all know I know a little bit about theater. So I did that. And so in the course of these 5 years that I've been working with Jam and All, it means Jews and Muslims and all faiths together, which was an interfaith group that started in southern Florida after the attacks of 9/11. So it's been going strong for a long time. And in that, I got to meet one of the very engaged volunteers with Jam and All, Judy. Well, this week I was rehearsing for Hairspray, and I got a text message from Judy, and she said, "We are motoring up the coast, and I know that you're in North Carolina, but I don't remember where. But we have stopped in Beaufort. Are you anywhere near Beaufort?" So the next morning, I was able to go and visit with Judy and meet her husband, Jeff. And we had a delightful visit. And then they were scheduled to leave later that morning. And so they hit the waterways. They cast off from Beaufort, and they made it all the way to Jarrett Bay. For those of you that are joining us online and don't know the landscape, Jarrett Bay is maybe 4 nautical miles from Beaufort, but they noticed that there was a leak of some sort. So as they progressed, you could see this shimmery film on top that was then evaporating. But they're like, okay, from their personal values system, they couldn't just keep on. So they stopped, and they had to have repairs made to their boat. And so what does this have to do with freedom? Which is got to check in now. Freedom is this universal idea that we all have our own personal understanding of. And what freedom means to me and what freedom means to you might be a little bit different, because I know that there are multiple people that are sitting in this room right now that have actually defended the freedoms of this country, that have defended the freedoms of people around the world. There are people within earshot of my voice now, which is, pretty widespread because we're streaming over the internet, that have done a lot to protect the humanity of other people. And it has occurred to me this week that spiritual freedom is our birthright. It is an unbreakable truth that we are beloved, worthy, and whole. Yet spiritual freedom calls us beyond our private peace. And this ties our second principle of unity, that there's a divine spark in everyone, with our fifth principle of it's not enough to know the truth. If you don't do anything with the truth that you know, you're not really like sinking your teeth. You're not walking the walk. There's some famous scripture that talks about, if the only preaching you can do is with your mouth, you might as well not do it. It is works. Our as unity believers, our evangelism is works. It is action in the world, in this manifest place. And I came to an awareness this week that I was going along in my life and I was kind of leaving this oily film substance that wasn't getting cleaned up. And I had to clean up my thinking a little bit this week. Thanks to, I've mentioned before that there is a Unity Minister discussion forum online. And I got on that discussion forum and someone brought up some ideas around social action. Something we've been talking about recently. And another minister said, "Oh, but we cannot talk about things like that in church." And I think most of you have heard me say at some point that, I don't think politics belongs in the pulpit. And because I like to be the best little boy in the world and I like to follow the rules. I went and I looked at the rules. And from this stage, this place of position and power, I cannot endorse political parties. I cannot endorse anyone in an election. But there is nothing that says I can't talk about spiritual values and social action. So today I want to talk about spiritual values and social action. And this week I also had to send an email as the president of the Unity Ministers of the Mid-Atlantic States. I had to send probably one of the most recently ordained ministers serving as the president of a group of people that have been in ministry for a very long time. Because one of them came to me and said, "I have stopped coming to these meetings because the last time I came, I said something and someone thought it was political and I felt attacked." And so I had to lovingly remind a group of ministers that we're going to come together to hold sacred space for truth, the truth that is your experience of life and consciousness. And there are things that might seem controversial. There are things that might seem political. There are things that might seem painful. And our job is to hold curiosity as a spiritual principle, not to shut people down. It's challenging to have these conversations with people that you love. Because I don't know if you've experienced it, but I've mentioned it before. I have had some very painful conversations, or I have had some very sad moments where I felt like I just had to sit there and shut up. Because I don't like feeling like I'm not being heard. Anybody else feel that way sometimes? You're not listening to me. Well, bothers me when I think people are not listening to me, partly because I know I'm right? We all have that. That's why in our meditation, we focus on love and wisdom and understanding so that it can give shape to our zeal and our will and our power, because it's so easy to take those things and malign them to the appearance of the world versus the spiritual truth. And I can't think of a better time in the world for us to stand up and to speak and act so that the dignity of every soul is lifted up. We must do that. And this is not about political parties. This is about our values system, recognizing our second principle in the divinity of all people, and using our fifth principle. And actualizing, right? That's a word that Charles Fillmore used when he talked about these 12 powers. Again, for anybody that doesn't remember, each one of these colors represents a different power, a different faculty of spirit. When you actualize all of those together at the same time, when you can direct each of these disciples, you awaken to the Christ of your being, just as our way shower did, who then was able to resurrect and then ascend to a new level of consciousness. But we must, right now, act so that the dignity of all souls is understood. And so that's where we get to actualize our power of renunciation, of release. We must, in our freedom, we must liberate ourselves from stories that would cast us as better than anyone else, that would cast anyone else as less than, that would question our own worthiness in the world. And see, we each are writing a story. That's right, this typewriter. Right, we're all writing a story, but we're actually writing two stories. We're writing the story of our own experience of life, and we're also writing a larger, greater story about what is right in the world. What is right in the world? And this is some hard truths, because we have to cast out false stories to liberate ourselves. We have to cast out false stories to liberate everyone in the world. And you know, the absolute truth is that if we recognize and see injustice, if we recognize and we see bondage of any form, and we do nothing, we are complicit in that bondage. We are complicit in that injustice. And so, as someone who has said, I can't be political, and I have shaped and formed and manipulated things so that I would not offend, I have been complicit in injustice in the world, in this community, in this county, in this state, in this world. And so I, as someone recently said to me, I am like the rudder in creating a course. And if you can't trust me to be awake and aware enough to take the actions I need to be, instead of being complicit in injustice, then I'm not doing my job. Yes? Well, I don't like not doing my job. Can you believe that? Anywhere from not setting up tables to putting something in the email that Laughter Club's not going to happen for 2 weeks, to not giving my board president some information he's asked for. And so I need to hold myself to a higher standard. And I hope that you will follow suit and that you will hold yourself to a higher standard. And even if you have not been complicit and you have been taking action, I hope you will root out time in your life to take more action. Because freedom is important. Spiritual freedom is our divine birthright. Nothing can take away our spiritual freedom. But our manifest experience here in Playground Planet Earth is not guaranteed. Not guaranteed. And, you know, we have to step into our spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity says that I'm going to be a truth teller, right? We start, and I have given lots and lots of messages and hopefully inspired you to get clear on the ideas, the thoughts, the beliefs that are shaping your experience of life and that are limiting it. And that you then cast out those fears. You cast out, you renunciate those things that aren't true, that you recognize as a belief system that was handed to you probably for the best reasons that someone else had, and you took it on as your own, and now you realize it no longer serves you. But we also have to call out. We have to see and act in the world. We have to be bearers of light so that we don't have to write in the shadows. Yes? Now here's a spiritual practice. Reframe, reword, a practice that I'm noticing that I've had, that I am shifting, is that I have had a practice of denial. Denial is not a spiritual practice. You know, telling ourselves, it's all in divine order. It's all in divine order. What you've heard me say is that God meant it for good. God transforms everything to good. That does not mean that I get to sit on my mat beside the well and hope that somebody will just give me water. Right? I've got to get up and use my feet. I've got to carry this forth into action in my life. I can no longer just live in the belief with the denial that what I do matters. Because what I do does matter. And what you do matters. What you do matters. Now, what I've come to understand and believe as all of this has been unfolding is that democracy and the formation of what we call the United States government is a spiritual practice. Now, was it always? Don't know that it was, because, you know, in the early days, that all men were created equal meant all white men who owned land were created equal. It did not include the women, right? It excluded a lot of people. All men meant all white men who owned land, right? All white men who owned land were allowed to vote in elections. If you didn't own land, you couldn't vote. You couldn't own land. Did you know this? You could not own land if you were not a member in good standing with your local community church. Imagine that. But as this has evolved, and we have as a nation understood more and more that divine principle number two, that divinity exists within all people, we have expanded what our democracy means and what it stands for. And our system of government was set up to have checks and balances that are being eroded right now. This is not about people, this is about ideas. This is not about political parties, because quite frankly, I'm not thrilled with either political party that's in power right now, because not enough is being done. There is a young man who was arrested, and I think he's one of the men that he came here on one of the visas, where you're afraid in your home country. Asylum, thank you. Someone said asylum. He came here on asylum because he was afraid for his life in his home country. But he's got some tattoos. You know any young people that have tattoos? I mean, Amy's right there. But he had some tattoos on his knuckles that apparently some of these tattoos, without understanding what they meant, because this is someone from another country, someone decided that they were tattoos that tied him to some terrorist group in his home country. And so they have sent him to El Salvador, to a prison, without giving him any opportunity to defend himself. There was no due process. There was no due process. And I am challenged by the fact that I am wrestling with my inside demons right now. But this voice that I hear you've heard about is saying, I have to say this, right? I am disturbed that the Attorney General went out and said, judges who oppose these policies will be hunted down and arrested. I paraphrase that, but that's what it meant to me, which does not sound like freedom. Does not sound like freedom that the people in this world, in this country, that have served in the U.S. military fought for, that have defended. In fact, it sounds like the antithesis of that. And so, our democracy is a spiritual practice, and allowing it to erode without response is a betrayal of the truth that we say we know in unity. And so, the first thing that I invite us all to do is to cast out false comfort. Cast out the belief, it doesn't impact me. Right? Comfort is comfort that keeps us from acting is just another one of these shadows that makes us not show up with the light of who we are. It's easy to say that spiritual work only happens within, and that we are doing just fine if we only think happy thoughts and we pray for peace. I have prayed for peace, so I've done my part. That has been a story I've told myself, right? And true spirituality does not bypass suffering in the world. It doesn't bypass even suffering in this community. There are people in this community, and when I say this community, I mean Crystal Coast Unity, which is not just in the Crystal Coast. It is much larger than that. But there are people They identify themselves as members of this community who sometimes don't know where the next meal is coming from, that don't know how they're going to pay their mortgage, that don't know how they're going to put another tank of gas in their car to get to that which they feel called to do. And it is an injustice when we concern ourselves more with how the stock market is doing than with, is someone able to eat this week or today. If we are truly spiritual, we cannot turn a blind eye to injustice and call it keeping the high watch. Keep the high watch, but pick up your feet. Do something. Comfort is not our goal as we mature spiritually, as we awaken to our oneness. Growth is the purpose. Justice is the purpose. To be love in action. To live our fifth principle is the purpose. This from Charles Fillmore in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. It comes from an understanding of the word. When men know, when we know that we are one with universal God mind, with divine mind, when we know this, we will proceed to cultivate our thoughts more carefully. We will cultivate our thoughts more carefully than we do our gardens. By casting out with denial all undesirable thoughts and planting by affirmation all good thoughts, as humans, we will soon find ourselves surrounded by a universe of beauty and harmony and peace. And we, as a community of believers, said that we were manifesting a peace-filled world. So this is our challenge. And so I was inspired this week to start a blog. And so there's going to be a blog on our website, and I'll get it posted later today. I've got some ideas on things you can do. And I hope you will. The one that comes to mind right now is one that was suggested to me by one of you, and it's called 3 calls. 5 calls. 5 calls. 5 calls would be great. If you can only make 3, I'm happy for it. It's an app that you can download. It gives you a script. You can sort through the things and find out what's important to you. Because I can't stand here and tell you that I know exactly what is important to each one of you. But I know if you're doing nothing, then you're being complicit in what is happening in the world right now. And being complicit with what is happening right now is not creating and manifesting a peace-filled world that works for all. And so I've got work to do. I'm going to hold myself to a higher standard. I'm going to try and be in integrity with my word and set up the tables and remind myself about the emails, get all the stuff out that I need to do. But I also am going to make time in my life to not be complicit in injustice, to not be complicit in anyone being hungry in my community, to not be complicit in anyone wondering, am I going to lose my home today? I'm not going to be complicit in the slow dismantling of the country that I love so much and was so blessed to be born into. Because there are some countries where just giving this message would put me in jail or worse. There are some countries where what I have stood before this congregation and said before would have me drugged down to the DoubleTree and thrown from the roof. And that's not the world I want to live in. Spiritual freedom requires that we take responsibility for others, for each other, and for our own actions and inactions. Look for that blog this week. And do something with whatever is important to you. Please. And if there is anyone online or here in the congregation that is angered by my words today, come and talk to me about it. I've got to be true to what I'm told to say, but I also have to be open to listening. So don't come to me with an argument. Come to me and help me understand. Yes? Yes. I love you all, and thank you for listening today.
Let us affirm a message of freedom by singing, I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. You are free, you are unlimited. There are no chains that bind you. You are free, you are unlimited. Right now, right now. Tell someone, you are free, you are unlimited. There are no